Hey everyone, in the last video I said Stadia doesn't need exclusives. And I got a lot of pushback on that, and I'm fine with that. Of course, I love having a discussion with all of you about video games in general. It's just a fun thing to do. That is why I like making these videos, is so that we can have a conversation about it. And so if you disagree with anything I say, I of course welcome the criticism as well as the praise when you do agree. So last time I said Stadia doesn't need exclusives, and actually the original thumbnail of the last video was that exclusives don't matter, and I ended up changing that because I don't think that I articulated my message in the best possible way when I said that. So I'm making a new video in order to clean that up. I want to make sure everybody understands exactly what I mean. And I said that Stadia doesn't need exclusives. And I stand by that. I think that Stadia does not need exclusives. However, I do think that exclusives will help. And there was a lot of people who said that in the comment section of the last video. And you can be sure I read all of the comments, even if I don't respond to all of them. But I feel like what I was trying to say in the last video when I say that Google Stadia doesn't need to have exclusives is because there's no hardware to buy, it really gets rid of the friction that comes with buying a game. So let's say that a game comes out that I really, really want, but I don't have the system that it goes with. That means that I have to go out and buy not just the game for, we'll say, $60, because that's the price of most games, but then I also have to buy usually a multi-$100 piece of equipment for that game. Now, when you are talking to the gaming population, the people who right now are paying attention to Stadia, all of the YouTubers out there, all of the people on the subreddit, all of the people who are watching this video right now, we are in the gaming industry already. We pay attention to this stuff. We think it's important to us. We follow this stuff, and we have a lot of this equipment laying around already. So for instance, I have a Nintendo Switch, I have a PS4, I have a pretty beefy PC with an i7 CPU and an RTX 2070 graphics card. And I've got like 3 screens. You can see 2 of them behind me. I've got an arcade cabinet on the other side of my my phone here. I'm recording this on my phone. You know, I am somebody who has lots of gaming hardware around, as is most of the people who know what Stadia is. If you walk down the street and you ask most people what is Google Stadia, they'd say, "What are you talking about?" They would have no idea. And if they had heard of it, they might think that it is a box that you put under your computer, or not your computer, under your TV, and you go to the store and you buy a disc for it and you put it in. Nobody outside of the gaming industry, or nobody who is not a gamer has any idea what Stadia is. And that's another reason why the arguments that people are having right now aren't really landing, because I feel like the audience that Google is going to be targeting with Stadia are the people who don't have this stuff in their house. People who have not bought the PS4 or the Xbox One. People who are not planning on getting the Xbox Project Scarlet or the PS5 or a Nintendo Switch or a fancy computer. Like, those are the people I feel like Google is going after with Stadia. And it might not seem like it now, but next year, when there's no hardware to purchase, like you don't have to buy anything, you don't have to have a subscription, you don't have to have a controller, you just go to a website and click a link and start playing a game on any piece of hardware, pretty much like a Chromebook. That is very, very compelling. And it takes it if you are somebody who is like me, who has all of this equipment, you might ask yourself, well, if a game comes out on PlayStation and Xbox and PC and Nintendo and Stadia, why would I pick Stadia when that requires an internet connection all of the time? Why would I choose that when I could choose these other platforms? Why would I choose to stream a game when I could own the physical copy and have it in my house? And that is a very good argument. For me, it's just convenience. And plus, I personally believe that this is the future of gaming. Whether people like it or not, it's going to happen. You know, you can't go to a store. Well, okay, that's not true. It's hard to go to a store these days and buy a CD. You know what I mean? It's not something that happens very often. Music is now streamed almost all the time. Very few people buy music anymore. We all subscribe to a service. And yes, that's not exactly what Stadia is, and I understand that. But my point is, streaming is the future of pretty much every kind of content consumption that there is. The thing that I was saying before is, why would I buy it on Stadia and when I have access to all these other places? Well, for much of the gaming community, I think maybe you won't. Maybe you just won't. Maybe you'll play it on these other places. In which case, Google's not getting your money, and now how are they going to survive? Well, guess what? They didn't have any hardware that they had to sell. So that's okay. Because for every gamer out there who says, I'm going to pass on this and I'm going to get it on my PlayStation or on my Xbox or on my Switch or on my PC, for every person like that, there's probably 5 people who look at it and they say, you know what? I just saw a cool video and it had a button that I could click at the end, and I can click that button and play the game instantaneously. No fancy hardware, no downloads. I can just click and play wherever I am. That's really, really compelling. Now, this whole video is supposed to be, again, about exclusives. And the thing that we have to remember is, while I don't think exclusives are necessary, I do agree that exclusives will definitely help the platform. But those exclusives need to be they need to be able to showcase the things that make Google Stadia different than the other places. They need to show off the features that make Google Stadia better, that improve gaming, that take gaming from here to the next level. And if they can do that, then we are in for a very, very big treat. Now, are those games going to be at launch? Probably not. They have recently said that Jade Raymond is heading up their first-party initiatives. And like I said, there was a GameIndustry.biz article where Jade Raymond talked about the fact that they're opening up a studio in Montreal. And that studio in Montreal is going to be making first-party Stadia games that are exclusive for Google Stadia. And that's not their only... what's the word I'm looking for? That's not their only studio. They're working on other studios as well. So all of these things are going to take some time. And I know that there are people who are going to say Google is going to fail unless they launch with a big exclusive. And I disagree. And first off, I want to say this again. November 19th, not the launch. November 19th is the beginning of the beta test. They're doing a soft launch. This very, very much reminds me of Nintendo, and I talked about this on the last video. If you haven't watched it, go back. I'll leave a link in the section down below so that you can check that out. But this very much reminds me of Nintendo's launch, where they just weren't ready at first, and then once they're ready and they got their wheels spinning, they're off to the races. I completely agree that the right exclusives will make Stadia more successful, but I don't think that it is 100% necessary for Stadia to have exclusives in order to succeed. And that's really the point that I tried to make in my last video, and I don't think that I did as good a job communicating. If you disagree, of course, let me know in the comment section. And, don't forget that we record this show. We record a podcast right here on this channel, 10 a.m. on Sundays, and I hope to see you there. And we've got an upcoming interview with tentative interview with John Justice, VP of Google's VP at Google and head of product for Google Stadia. So stay tuned for that. And if any of that sounds good, and if you are interested in Stadia news, then this is the place you want to be. You want to hit that thumbs up button. You want to click subscribe. You want to ring that bell. And that lets the YouTube algorithm know that we're doing good stuff here and that they should recommend us to other people. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time